thinking of the negotiation piece and how I kind of work that just into even when I'm first doing showings, how I kind of have that in my brain and how I link it all together.
So I'm on streaming. Yes, started. Okay, we're streaming. I'm assuming people hear me. Okay. If people are listening, I'll be honest, I don't know how to pull up the Facebook and answer your questions. So if you want to text me your questions, that works better for Eric because then I can respond. Okay. So how are you doing? Hello. How are you doing? How's life?
How am I doing?
Yeah.
I'm doing... I have one listing that's live that my clients are considering pulling off the market after like 3 weeks.
Why would you? Okay, so let's talk about that. If you have a live listing 3 weeks in, they're mad they didn't get multiple offers, is my guess.
They're mad there's like no offers yet, and so
right.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you listed it, did you kind of talk to them about the market had shifted a little and that we're in a summer lull and you may not get multiples?
I did have that conversation, and since I've had that conversation, I don't think they're understanding. So now they're like, well, I have a project coming up and I need the money to fund it, and so we don't have this, I might have to start looking into other options. They're like, okay, well, what do those options look like, and what, trying to have this conversation.
Have you done a price drop?
No.
They don't want to do a
They
price
don't want to do a price drop, and they're trying to stick me to my commission. Like, oh, it's a 6% commission plus the excise tax. We don't have any room to do a price drop. That's fantastic, but do you want your house sold or not? Like,
Well, all I can say is whenever the market shifts, the one side that's losing in the shift is going to always be really bitchy and not happy.
Yeah.
And right now that would be a seller. So you basically got to kind of smack them around a little. And like my sellers right now, I'm very, very upfront. I don't have conversations. I put things in a writing.
That's what I'm doing right now is I'm writing a very long email to them.
I put things in writing when I'm pricing so they can actually see it. And then I say, here's why I'm pricing this way. Because like currently now when I'm working with the buyers, I'm very upfront about how the, I just want to get to forms. I'm very upfront with them, telling them that this is the way I'm pricing you today. And I'll go back a couple months. I might go back a month ago and say, look, I know you're going to look at these and think, wow, this person got all that money and they got multiples, but I want to show you now what's going on with local activity. Look, these people are sitting. They're not getting multiples. So let's look at that. These sitting that are comps like you not getting multiples, this tells us also this price isn't making people buy. So we need to price you at a price that's going to sell.
Yeah.
So my guess is, one, you're priced at a point now that no one's making an offer. It's been 3 weeks. Your window of getting that price is done. Not going to happen. Buyers have spoken. It's too much.
Yeah.
The other negative is like now we're going into August. August is definitely slow. Because look, our weather's amazing. Nobody wants to shop. Buyers are like, yeah. Oh, wait, I got to go out on a boat today. I'll talk to you later, you know. Or we're going on vacation. And so that affects the market.
Okay.
And a lot of times things start, and then we have like another mini spring type surge after Labor Day. Does this mean that we still list and sell in August and July? Yes, it does. But you have to think about what's going on in the market at that time. I would, if I was you, I would look in, pull up comps in the area, and find out how many other homes are sitting right now.
Most of them. There's only 2 pending within a half mile.
Right. How long were they on the market?
This one was listed on the 27th, but it was priced $50,000 less than theirs.
Exactly. So that's what you got to start.
That's in Kent. It's not in Renton. So you're also looking at a different school district.
It's all different. But I mean, these are the things that you want to talk to them, even with the beginning of pricing. And it's sometimes uncomfortable conversations, and sometimes agents will just cave and go, okay, we'll price it. I have an uncomfortable conversation, but it's in an email where I say, here's how I think I'm your price. And then I say, this is how you're going to do it. And I say, but in the end, you get to pick the price. But this is what I think. And then if they come back and say, okay, Eric, we want to be 50,000 more on the market, I go, okay, that's fine. We'll put you on 50,000, but I want to, let's agree right now, price reductions. I'm not going to say you're going to have to do it, but we're having that conversation now before we get on the market. Because we got to realize, look at the timelines, look who's sold, look who's sitting. And you're putting it on now at the price that's sitting. So the question is, how bad do you want to sell? Because if you sit too long, the buyers are always going to beat you up. They're going to get things that you wouldn't get if we sold you quicker. And you generally are going to make less money because it's going to be a slow death spiral. And I say death spiral, you know, death spiral to where you slowly drop the price and you get an offer. The days of, all right, let's just go drop it 10,000 does not mean you're going to get an offer. No. It means they're just going to look at you and go, yeah, they're starting to get desperate, but 10,000 on a $500,000 home price drop isn't much. No. So I have these conversations with them and I say, look, I'm going to be honest. We're going to learn. We'll learn really quick. Are we getting anyone in your open houses? If we're not, the market's definitely slowed down. We're not getting the people coming in. Or if we are getting people in and they're all saying you're overpriced, we're going to tell you that. I'm going to talk to every agent. But if they say you're overpriced, you need to listen, because then we need to make a correction quickly. Because if they're all saying that from week 1 or even week and a half, you know, if you're not getting viewers and you're hearing that, then it doesn't help you, seller, to keep sitting on your price. It just means you're just going to sit longer and longer until you wake up and either you get mad and you pull it off the market. When you have a real slowdown like we do now, we can't say officially it's a buyer's market yet because the inventory isn't at that spot yet and it hasn't been consistent. But we're watching. But we do know the summer slowdown, which usually is August, it started like into June.
Right.
And so they're going on into slow market time.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it could pick up after September, but now if they sit on the market until September, all the new things are going to sell, and they're still going to sit because they're going to look at you and go, the new things coming out in September are not going to go on their price. They're all going to go back and see these ones at 50,000 less sold, so they're all going to price at 50,000 less. So you need to have these kind of conversations with them at the beginning, discuss what their price drops will be so you've all agreed upon it. So then when you're 3 weeks in and now it's that uncomfortable time, you can go back and say, remember this email? Let's look at it again. We talked about all this. I forewarned you about all this, and now it's a fact. Okay. So that, you know, maybe they'll start listening to you.
Yeah.
But now you're in a position of they just hate you. They don't want to recognize they're overpriced, and they're saying they have no leeway. Yeah. Well, you know, when they say they have no leeway, don't believe them. Did you two estimated net proceeds?
No.
All right. You can do them really quick. Some of your, like First American has one you can use. But if you go into your matrix, and when you're in matrix, at the top it'll say financial tools.
Yep.
If you go in there, open that. It says choose your financial tools, hit net proceeds. And then you can put in here whatever your selling price is. Let's say, what is it, 500,000?
439.
439. Okay, because I do this also when I'm setting price just to give them an idea. So then you hit load. Now you go in here, sometimes I write their name, whatever. And then you look on the realist tax report unless they tell you how much is left on their mortgage. But look on realist tax and you type in whatever their first mortgage is. So if their first mortgage is, say, 300,000. This is already, looking under real estate fees, you can see they have 3%, but you can adjust that. But let's keep it at 3%. They owe 300,000. hit calculate, net proceeds, they're getting $102,000, and it's factoring, and then if you go print, it comes up, and this isn't, it says estimate, and you got to say estimate, but I always say it's going to be pretty close because they estimate also escrow fees and everything. So then you can look at them and go, well, you're telling me you have no money, but with this at 439 with 300,000, you're making 102,000. So don't we have room to do a price drop?
To be honest.
Well, then they're lying through their teeth.
Yeah, because it's their net proceeds are $400,000 at this price range.
Yeah, they're being a greedy seller is what they're doing. And they're trying to beat you up saying that it's your fault. Oh, DoorDash. And it's not your fault is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I agree. And
But you can show them a net proceeds and then say, am I missing anything in here about you're subtracting out that I'm unaware of? Because it looks to me like you have room to do the price drop we need, because if you look, everything selling is 50,000 less in your area. Mm-hmm. So we can sit at this price as long as you want. You can take it off market. Maybe the market will go back up. But then you can say, but the indicators are, let's look at the July numbers on Trend Graphics. We have the highest amount of inventory ever. I mean, June was. July is out. Is July going up? Is it consistent? You can start saying this might indicate that the market's peaked and now it's starting to head down to a buyer's market. So even waiting till spring, it might shift around and we might get a big flurry of multiple offers again. Or it might be we're full on buyer's market and prices that everyone got 2 months ago, everyone's getting 50,000 less now.
right.
Until, you know, it's just back to the seller's market.
Back in January or something. Or even next year.
So all of that is part of the fun in real estate. And it's stressful, but you learn as you go. But don't let them say that, well, the only way we can sell this house is drop your commission now. Because if they own that house outright, no, I don't buy it.
Yeah. I don't either.
Yeah.
I think they're just trying to,
They're just mad.
they've been tight the whole time anyway.
Well, clients hold back all the time. Buyers will say, oh, I can only spend $400,000 and suddenly, you know, a month later they're buying a $500,000 home.
Right, sure.
I have a problem with that.
Yeah.
What is 400? Buy 600.
Yeah. Well, it's like you go to the store to buy a $30 pair of shoes and the ones you really want are $50. It's the same
You're gonna buy
concept.
I wish that was my price point. It's a little more. Although I have found some really cool $50 shoes before too.
My sneakers are pretty cheap.
Mm-hmm. You can find really cool things cheap. I mean, when I do, I get excited. So you're first time here?
It is, yeah.
You're a brand new agent?
So I'm actually with Ivan on Gitica's team, but I'm an admin, and I'm transitioning to an agent role in the next few weeks, which I'm really excited about, but just trying to stoke up as much info as I can
okay.
in the meantime.
All right, cool.
So not an agent quite yet, but...
You're going to take your test soon.
So I just passed my exam.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, so I need to get the application in and do like my fingerprints and stuff, but...
Hopefully you're not
Almost
a
there.
criminal.
I'm not. Find out if I didn't
Yeah.
Dude, you're done. There's no way.
What's your name?
Kevin.
Kevin.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks.
Welcome to the roller coaster of real estate.
I know. I can't
It's
wait.
crazy.
Okay. So you said you had some questions.
Well, one thing that came up in my open house yesterday was, or no, a couple days ago, was a prospect saying, oh, do you think that, so I'm just hosting the listing for someone else, and she says, oh, do you think that the owner would be open to owner financing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that to me said, this isn't necessarily a serious buyer based on what I understand where the clients are at or for this specific scenario. Is that?
Mm-hmm. If a buyer asks you at an open house, is the seller open to seller financing? Well, one, either they've talked to a loan officer and they have bad credit and they can't do it,
Right.
or two, they just haven't talked to a lender.
Okay.
But seller financing, I've never done. I don't want to. I know people are starting to ask that, but generally it's very risky for a seller because, what's going to happen if they quit paying?
Right.
There is one form on the MLS that you would put in to your offer for seller financing.
Okay.
But agents need to realize it's just fill in the blanks. It doesn't really answer all the questions. And the form says that all parties, both buyer and seller, need to consult a lawyer to make sure all terms in this contract are satisfactory.
Right.
So my first thing is I tell anyone that says, oh, I have a client, they want to do seller financing. Seller says, fine. I go, great. You need to go to a lawyer. Your clients need a lawyer to kind of write it up. And the reason is there's so many variables. All right, the buyer still has to make a sizable down payment, even seller financing. It's not like you just get to go in the house. And if the buyer misses a payment, what happens? Can the seller immediately take the house back, kick him out, keep all the money? Right. There's a balloon payment that has to be factored in at so many years out because that seller's not going to hold it for 30 years. They want out.
Right.
They got to make enough of a down payment so the agent's commissions are paid because you're not going to wait 3 years for your commission. So that's why you have to make sure it goes to a lawyer and get it all figured out, and you just make sure your commission is paid at the time they make the deal. Generally, sellers right now that would be open to seller financing, I would be honest, are probably homes that are just not selling because there's something not great about it. I mean, were you getting a lot of traffic? No, it's been on the market a while?
It's been on the market for 2 weeks.
Okay, that's not horrible.
No, it's an awkward shaped 2.6 acres with an easement down the middle and the majority of the property on the opposite side of the easement. And the majority of the property of the acreage is wetlands.
Oh, yeah, that screws you.
So it's...
you can't build near wetlands.
You can't really do anything.
But were you at our meeting? I'm not sure if you had started with us yet, but we had in American Home Partners, I think they're called, Home Partners, about how they can finance someone who can't get a loan.
Yes.
So see, if you hear someone wants to do seller financing, and what was the price point on your place, this place?
409.
Yeah, they're prime for...
They're right in there.
Yeah,
right?
So what I would do is change the conversation.
Okay.
And just say, rather than seller financing, there's this great program, and this one fits the price point. It's like basically you go to Home Partners, you fill out an application just like you would for leasing any home.
Right.
You go through the whole qualification, and if you're qualified, then they're going to let you identify the house you want, and they'll pay cash for it, which is a really good position to be as a buyer. And then you already have a 3-year plan mapped out where, as this home appreciates over the next 3 years, you get to keep the home at that price. You can buy it any time over those next 3 years. But there's no penalties if you don't buy it at the end of 3 years. And you're not having to make a big down payment like you are with seller financing. So that's what I would talk to them about.
Okay. That's a good
Give them the website. And then you just give them a house, you get your commission, you don't have to worry about if they buy it or not.
anything. Okay.
That's what I would have done.
Okay.
Questions down here?
Yeah. Oil tanks.
Oil tanks.
Abandoned oil tanks. I have a property under contract right now in Glenwood
Mm-hmm.
with what our inspector told us is an abandoned oil tank. House is built in 67.
And it's underground. He
it's in the
identified
crawl
where it
space.
is. Oh, it's above ground, but
It's
in the...
above ground.
That's good. They're easy to remove.
Yeah. So we contacted. I figured out that there's actually really no database.
There is.
There is, but later. So I went down 5 or 6 different outfits: fire department, city, county. Looked at all the permits to see if it was pulled. But what's happening now is we have an inspector from Seattle Oil Tank is going to go out there this week and take a look at it, which he actually thinks it's a boiler, like a water heater. So we'll see. But
oh, so this is the old heating system that's just there.
Yeah.
And then somewhere along the way, they moved into getting gas heaters.
Yeah, because they have a gas furnace.
Right,
now.
so it's this gigantic thing down in the basement.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. Yeah, it could be oil tank, could not. Okay, what that means, there's no oil tank above ground. If there is an oil tank, it'll be out and buried in the dirt. And the oil is brought in by a little pipe. And then the oil companies come by and they can open the cap and they fill it. So it's good. So it was fine to call about permits and all that, but all you're trying to find out is, was it ever decommissioned?
Exactly. And we have no record.
And there's only records of decommissioning. I think they started in the late 90s.
96.
96, keeping records. So if it was decommissioned before 96, you don't know. So what I always do is, if you have an oil tank, is you immediately call an oil tank company. And you bring them out, and generally they're going to charge your client like $150, something like that. And they will walk the property with their detectors to find out if there's an oil tank on the property. When they find it, then they can dig down about 10 inches or wherever. They'll find the cap. And then they can see if the cap has been sealed properly as being decommissioned or not. And then, so you can find that out. If it's not decommissioned, then it needs to be decommissioned because you need to make sure any oil in it's out. But if, the fear is that the oil gets out of the tank and into the dirt, because then you have a hazmat condition, and that means all the dirt has to be removed. And you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars if it's really bad.
And that falls directly on the owner.
Whoever the owner is. So that's why you really want to do due diligence now. I've had people where we found oil tanks and it wasn't decommissioned and the owner thought so, and my response right back to him is it needs to be decommissioned, blah, 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 or we're not moving forward. But you do it all within your inspection period. Because you have to do that during your inspection period.
Yeah, we extended our inspection period.
For it?
Yeah,
and you have leverage. People don't realize, let's say you have a 7-day inspection, and then you have no additional days, or even with additional days, it's 7 days. Then you're in there and you're inspecting, and you find out, oh my God, there's an oil tank. And then you're finding out, well, we can't even get it looked at until after our inspection expires. You can send over an extension and on a Form 34 and say, buyer and seller agree inspection contingency timeline will be extended to this date to allow for all this, because you have leverage then. Because your leverage then is if this seller balks, you say, fine, then we're going to leave, and anyone coming along is going to, you have to disclose. You have an oil tank, you have no information on your property. I have buyers that aren't running away, they just need the proper time to investigate. Generally, the seller will extend.
Yeah, and now it's actually, that's our plan now, is to negotiate, because there's other problems with the house. But we're,
you want to get everything figured out before you negotiate.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. No, for sure. So, yeah, that's no, it'll happen. They need to sell. So.
Yeah, but, because they never remove the oil tanks in the ground.
That's just decommission.
They decommission, and basically they go in. If there's any oil, they suck it out. Even if they verify nothing's in there, they suck everything out. Then they put in solution to wash and clean it, suck that out. They do that a few times, and then they have to decide if they want fill or no fill, and what kind of fill, if they do, put back into it. Personally, I would always put fill, because who wants a big old container out there that has nothing in it in case the container gets rusty and collapses in 100 years and you get it like, boom, your ground sinks. So most people put fill, and then they cap and seal it, and then the fire marshals come out and they verify everything's been done correctly, and then it's given a certificate. And then the seller or the homeowner keeps that forever, because whenever they sell the property, they will provide that along with Form 17 to the buyers to prove it's been handled correctly. And then if you're having the buyer buy that house, you tell them right up front, you keep that paperwork forever because you're going to need that when you sell. Because saying, oh yeah, it was decommissioned, they told us it was decommissioned, we bought it 7 years ago, well, the next buyer is going to go show us the permit, show us this. And if you say, well, I don't have any, they just told us they decommissioned, it's like, well, that's just, you think they did, we want proof.
And what happens in that case? Then you'll have to hire somebody, get them over, and
Then you hire an oil company to come out, look at it, make sure it's been decommissioned. So, but yeah, but if you have other things on the house, don't tell them. But anyway, in any inspection period, if you get involved into inspections and you need more people to look at things because of serious issues, don't wait till the last minute of your last day. You just go right back to them and say, we're going to need more time, and send it over. And if they balk, say, you want me to start going through the laundry list now? Or do you want to extend? Because here's the issues. Bam, 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 bam. And we need to, we're not running away. We need more, we need to investigate more so we have the proper information so we can all discuss what's right.
Makes sense.
Okay?
Very cool. So that's actually, that's a really good catalyst into my next question on disclosures. So I have this other property we wrote an offer on Thursday, and the seller came back. The seller, who actually happens to be the listing agent, he's a flipper, and he's like, "No, you have to waive inspections." So we're like, "Okay, fine, we'll do that."
You have to waive.
Well, he said, "We'll take your offer if you waive inspections." So we're like, "All right, fine."
Did you do a pre-inspection?
Yeah, we did a full pre-inspection, did the report, and the house is everything is like cattywampus. It's like there's missing rafters. There's
From your pre-inspection?
Yeah. So, and that's the reason why I don't suggest waiving inspections, because there's all this hidden stuff in the house we don't know about.
Well, he's just like saying, I want to make sure you know what this house is. I don't want to go pending and then have you walk away.
He didn't want us to do an inspection.
At all?
Yeah. And,
Oh,
he can't force us, but he's like, yeah, sure, whatever, come in. He's like, the house is perfect. There's not one thing wrong with it. I built it. I did the remodel myself. So we get into this house, and there's like cut-in rafters in the roof. The roof is bowing. 20% of the house was built on a patio. Nothing was permitted. Electrical's all backwards.
So did your buyer walk, or they still wanted to buy this house?
No, we walked.
Good. Yeah.
I told him to walk. I told him, it's like, this is a bad house, and we all have that same consensus. So my question is now that we have all this information, and the listing agent knows that, who happens to be the seller and the flipper, he has to disclose that on Form 17, right?
Yes.
But he's not doing that.
Well, you don't know. I had another agent call me with the same question this week. They also walked away from a house. They shared the inspection report with the listing agent, and she was like very upset too, because she says, well, I'm watching it and they haven't changed their Form 17, but she was like, should I inform them out of courtesy that they need to update their Form 17 because those are the rules? My advice was let it go and move on.
Yeah.
That agent is definitely, seeing as it's an agent who's listing the house that has a crappy house, they know the rules. My guess is, are they in a reputable...
John Scott.
Oh, John Scott. Oh, that's surprising. I'm sure if their broker knew, they would be telling them either fix it, or what they may be doing is keeping... Did you share the inspection report?
No, not yet. He was being very...
Did you tell him what all the things wrong with the house?
We didn't. I didn't do any follow-up.
All right, so you didn't disclose anything.
We didn't disclose anything.
Well, so here's the thing: you didn't disclose anything, so he can still claim he didn't know these things.
Yeah, no, I mean we don't care. It already somebody else bought it, so I was just curious. If I'm on the.
But let's say in this situation, she actually shared the whole inspection report, and then they went back on the market and they didn't change the Form 17, and she was getting all upset about it. And I said, let it go, because what she doesn't know is if someone came in, let's say, and was going to get serious and make an offer, they might have at that point said, oh, by the way, we have this inspection report from the previous buyer. Let us share it with you as part of our Form 17. They could do that. So it's not like you know everything that's going on after you leave.
So if I was representing a seller and we had a buyer that walked on our listing and shared inspection report, we would have to, by law, update Form 17.
The rules are very clear. What you know
Yeah.
about a house, you have to disclose. This is why listing agents will get furious with you if you send over a full inspection report when you send over your inspection response, because they're like, what the hell are you doing? I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it at all.
Yeah.
Because they know that if you walk, they have to go to their sellers and say, we need to now update our Form 17. We even have to be so detailed as to say the deadbolt doesn't lock on the back door. You know, everything is disclosed on that now has to be updated on a new Form 17 unless the seller goes in and fixes all of it. So a lot of times what happens, the easy way out is you just provide the Form 17 to the next buyer and just say, hey, we already have an inspection. We're willing to share it to you as part of our Form 17. And that's what a lot do. But yes, once you're told, you know, and if you know, the seller knows, because the laws are you have to tell the seller. They just disclose these things. And sometimes, like when you're negotiating, I'll say to a seller, they'll go, well, we're not going to do anything. And I'll say, okay. Or this is an as-is house. Okay. We're doing our inspection. And I come back and say, here's what we want. And they'll go, we told you this is as is. We're not doing a damn thing. And I go, you know, you can tell me that all day long. And we were fine with the as is house. But now that we've inspected it, we found that the sewer lines broke. And we couldn't even get past 20 feet. So we still like the house. We're willing to move forward. But here's what's going to happen. You've got to hire a company. They got to go down 8 feet, open up the sewer line, fix the break. At the same time, we're bringing in a sewer inspector again to sewer scope the rest of the line to make sure it's fine. And if there's any other blockages, your people are going to fix it. And then we're by the house. Or we'll walk, but you know, the sad thing here is you're going to have to disclose to any buyer that your sewer line's bad. And you're probably going to have to deal with the next buyer on the sewer line, even though you're as is, because I don't know many buyers who are going to take a big unknown like a sewer line and buy it as is at this price point. And usually they'll negotiate with you. So just because it's, I mean, I tell clients all this, I go, oh, it's as is. I go, I don't care what they say in their remarks, as is, no repairs will be done, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I've even had bank-owned properties say as is, and I've had them pay for sewer lines. Because, yeah, as is to me means as is, we know we're going to expect to do work on this house. We know it's not perfect. We know cosmetically these issues already. And we go in and we know, like, oh, there's some electrical plumbing we'll deal with. But, man, if I see something like, hey, this roof needs to be replaced in the next years because there's evidence of leaks all over it, or there's a sewer line problem, I don't care if it as is. You're stuck, seller. It's on your shift as owner. So either you deal with us now as is, the way we want, or we walk. But guess what? Probably those are big issues you're going to deal with somebody else.
Even with bank-owned, like you mentioned.
Oh, I've done it on bank-owned all the time.
So what if something like that doesn't go through? What form do we have to use to terminate? If they don't want to fix the issue, just a regular.
If they don't want to fix an issue, you've had an inspection, you would send over your 35R that you're walking, and you'd send over your Form 50, you want your earnest money release.
That's all. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at me.
Because they don't sign
Just looking.
The what?
Bank-owned, they don't sign the response.
Bank-owned signs everything.
They said they don't. Like I did
Oh.
an inspection report, they said they don't sign anything, they just can email back with a counter. I don't know, it's a Fannie Mae.
Yeah, they have their own rules, but the bottom line is if you walk, you walk.
Yeah.
And they know it. And Fannie Mae knows the rules, so you'll get your money back if you walk on an inspection. They're not going to fight you on it. They're just going to move on to the next one.
Okay.
And Fannie Mae may not fix it. But I've had bank owns fix major problems. or reduce price.
Yeah, reduce prices.
Because then I go in and say, fine, if you don't want to fix this sewer, then we want 25,000 off. And they're like, whoa. And I go, hey, whole sewer line might need to be replaced, and we were told that's about 25,000. So you're gonna, and a lot of times as the bank owner's like, fine, knock out 25,000. We don't care. We don't want to deal with it. Because generally the banks don't want to have to fix things.
How about dealing with bank-owned and appraisal? So let's say they don't want to fix a major issue.
It's
the same negotiation with bank-owned?
I don't care who the seller is. You all need to realize you're negotiating a sale to a seller no matter who the seller is. It could be somebody living in a foreign country. It could be a bank. It could be a seller that's living in the house. They are sellers. They negotiate. You negotiate with their agent. If they say everything's done by email, then you send it all by email, and it will go back to the bank, and someone's going to review your response, and they'll give you a response back. Okay? Question at the end of the table. No?
Came to listen.
Oh my God.
Another question.
Okay, what's yours?
So I keep it excited. If there's a listing in my neighborhood, I want to buy the house.
Mm-hmm.
Am I soliciting as a buyer?
You're buying it for yourself?
Yeah, for myself. So I want to approach them.
And it's
I'll
listed.
go to the agent first because I know the
Is
person.
it listed?
Yes.
That's illegal.
Even as a buyer?
It's illegal. When you have a listing and it's listed and you're a licensed broker and you go straight to the seller and step past that agent, you will get in trouble. You'll be fined.
But a regular buyer can do that. It's
No.
just we cannot.
Anyone who has a listed property goes to the listing agent. And I can tell you, any seller that gets a phone call from any old buyer down the street and says, oh, let's just do a deal on the side, they're going to tell them, talk to my agent. Because the bottom line is, even if they try to do a deal on the side without the listing agent, guess what? They can't.
No,
They're under a listing.
Yeah, I mean, you'll include him later, but you want to
No. All right, let me ask you this. You're listed, and an agent came along and called your seller and said, let's just work this whole deal out without your agent. What would you say to me when you called me to tell me this? Would you be upset?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, you'd be upset.
But legally, I'm saying.
No.
Upset or not upset? What is?
Legally, you're still upset.
You would be upset because you're like, that's breaking the rules.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
The only time anyone can go to a seller is if they're not responding to you within 24 hours. And then you call me and say, I've been trying to show this house for 24 hours. No one's responding. What do I do? Then I say you call their broker and you let them know. Or if you submit an offer and no one's responded to you in 24 hours, then you say, can I call the seller? And I'll say yes, but first call their broker and let them know.
Okay.
So, now, if you want to buy a property as an agent, you have to disclose in the contract you're an agent.
Yes, I know.
And then generally what agents do is they'll write it for 3% less than whatever the asking price is, and they'll say, hey, you don't need to pay my commission.
Yeah.
And you would submit it to the listing agent.
Yes, I know.
Okay? Because basically, if you go around them, let's say you did go around them, and now they throw back that listing agent, and now the listing agent calls you. How do you think that negotiation is going to go? You've already pissed the listing agent off. It'll make your life hell.
Okay.
Yeah, if I were the listing agent, I would never sell
Send
you
you an
that
extra
house.
3%.
So, did that answer your question?
The buyer, well, yeah, yes, it's just,
You need to go back and talk to your buyer agent and tell
My
her,
buyer agent?
tell your buyer,
Hey. Okay.
this is why we use agents.
Okay.
You cracked me up.
Me?
Yeah, that was a funny question.
Thank you for not saying it's a stupid question.
No, I reserve to say that only when I truly believe it. You're learning, so it's not stupid when you're learning.
Thank you.
It's stupid when you do stupid things and don't ask questions.
So I have another question. I was doing an open house this weekend, and this question actually, I think a lot about it because I typically don't share agency law pamphlet until, you know, we meet at the consult.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a seller that came into the open house and he's like, oh, well, I'm trying to sell. And I was like, oh, cool, where? Oh, across the street. So I went over to his house, did a quick walkthrough. He's like, this and this. Do I need to technically give him the agency law pamphlet before I walk into the house? Or if he's like, or if I'm like doing a preview and some neighbors like, oh, can I peek in? Do we need to by law present them the agency law? Because I remember,
if you're ever showing, okay, there's a couple of questions there. If you're opening a house to preview and some stranger walks by and says, oh, can I see the house? Say no. Because
you don't know who they are.
You don't know who these people are, and your name's on that door now. And who's to say you're not letting in someone in the house that could rob it? Mm-hmm. Or you know nothing about that person. You don't even know if they're qualified. So whenever anyone has ever asked me that, I always say, I'm sorry, I can't show you. I'm only showing my clients. I'm not the listing agent. If you'd like to have a buyer consult with me and work with me, then I can definitely show it to you after that. Okay? One. Now, if you're like, went over to meet the seller afterwards, technically you are starting an agency relationship if you start advising them, but you don't have agency law yet. Generally what I do is I just say, hey, this is all good with you. I'm going to send you these seller disclosures I need to send you. It's not part of a contract. It's just required things so to let you know, explaining what our relationship is. My guess, he probably is just searching for information right now. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay, yeah. Because that's happened to me numerous times where sellers come and I'm always like, hey, let's start a relationship. Let me do a quick walkthrough after the open. I'm done here at 4.
My question is, what are you going to do after a walkthrough to get them to list?
So continued follow-up. Follow-up, and then you know, I've sent him referrals on vendors. He's looking to repaint things in his house and put new countertops. And
okay, I wouldn't do that far.
That's too much work for free.
Yeah. Why would you supply a seller your vendors to help them get their place going on the market and they've not committed to work with you?
Without a listening agreement, yeah. That's where it's tough because I've helped people a lot like that.
And then they don't, you help them and then they don't use you, right?
Say I've got it all. I have all this stuff. I'd be happy to share with you.
Yeah.
Let's sign this agreement. I've got all these people ready to go. We can get this thing done.
That's a very good point because I've wasted tons of hours.
You don't want to waste your time anymore.
On people that.
I mean, I went on a listing agreement recently. They were very upfront. They were not going to sign anything. They're talking to all these agents. You know, it's an estate sale. They're out of San Francisco. They want, you know, I said, here are referrals. I've worked with out-of-state people, helping coordinate all these kinds of things you're talking about, like painting and all that, if you want to talk to these people. And they still haven't made a decision. But they, on the slide, said, so tell me, can you send over to us exactly what you would price this at? And I responded. And I said, you know, I love working with my clients, and I'm really busy with a lot of clients right now. And as soon as you commit to work with us as the listing agent, I'll be happy to do the full-on CMA. But if you're asking me just to throw out a ballpark figure, well, I can throw out any figure you would like to hear. Because that's all any agent's doing if they're just saying, well, your price from here to here, you know. But in a nice way, I just said, I'm not willing to put all the hours into a price opinion if you're not going to list with me. I'm tired of doing it. If they ask me, I'll say, here's things I would do to fix up the house. They'll go, great. Would you help me with getting the connections? Yes, absolutely. I know lots of people I can refer you to that can come in and do this, and we'd be really great. I can coordinate with them all. And if they say, oh, well, can you just send us their names? I'll say, absolutely. As soon as you sign a contract with me and I know we're committed and we're working together, we'll do it. Because if you walk in with a full CMA, never seen the house, let's say you just got a little bit of, well, on a scale 1 to 10, 10 being like perfect home, they gave you that kind of scale to kind of write a CMA, and then you go with your nice little CMA report. Guess what they do at the very end? Oh, could you just leave that with us? Okay. You just gave away all the goods. Now the next listing agent comes in and says, Oh, I'll discount. Great, discount. Oh, by the way, here's what we want to price. We like what he said, but you're discounting. You're out. So if you show any paperwork, I always take it with me. And if they ask for it, I say, oh, you know, this was just kind of an estimate for today. None of this is valid as of 5 p.m. today. So I take it with me so it's not confusion. Well, we'd really like to hold on to review it. Okay, well, send me. I'll email you everything then when I get home because I don't like to leave paperwork behind. I mean, just be honest.
And do you email it back? Do you email it to them?
No.
Just be honest. No.
Really,
I'm not giving away the goods up front anymore without an agreement.
What if you're door knocking though, and like you know that they're going to list their house, and then you go back with the CMA to just show that you're like proactively trying to work with them? No.
No.
All right. Damn it! I just had this weekend.
Well, you know, I did everything you guys are doing too when I started, so it's not wrong. It's not wrong.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that will work in your favor. I'm just surly and rude and ornery, and I just don't care anymore. But
I
no.
wish I was like that right now because I'm getting trampled by my damn sellers, and I want to be like, "Hey, dipshit, this is."
I don't use vulgarity with my clients, but when my clients use vulgarity with me, I will say to them, you know what, I'm willing to sit here and talk about it and figure this out, but if you're going to use this kind of language with me, I suggest we take a break until you've calmed and you're ready to have a serious conversation.
Let's take a break.
No, I will. And generally that shuts them up.
What does that mean, Eric?
Yeah.
I say,
Are you breaking up?
I just say, we need to have a conversation. We don't need yelling. And a break is a break. Doesn't matter if it's a relationship. Because you all have a relationship with your clients. No, I mean, I know there's the one appointment listing and the 2 appointment listing. And people, you know, you got to decide which one you like best. I've tried the 1 appointment listing. I've always felt I've done better on the 2 appointment listing. And the 2 appointment is I come in and I present. And then I say, I'll work up a price opinion and everything for you and bring it back over and we can talk if you commit to me. That's what I do.
And you commit on the second one?
Yeah.
You get them to sign on the second
Yeah.
one?
What if
Now-
they're not realistic with the price on the second time you come back?
Oh, you weren't here before. If they're not realistic on what they want to price, I say that's fine. The price is yours. But I am telling you, I really believe it's overpriced and you're going to sit. So I want to make sure that we have an agreement before we even list that if we start getting the feedback you're overpriced and all that, we only have a fine timeline to get buyers in here. Because looking at, you know, all my stats of where we're in the market, it looks like if you're on after 2 weeks, you're old news and you're not going to make any money. So that means we need to react in the first week, seriously. And so here's what I suggest is if this is the feedback we get, we're committing now, we're going to drop to this price that I think we should. Does that sound good to you? And generally, yeah. I mean, that literally happened to me on a listing, and what was it? Friday, we had went on Thursday. We already had sellers through, and I already had feedback coming. We were way overpriced, and I knew we were. And so I got on the phone, and I called my client. I said, here's the feedback. Do you want to go into the weekend at this overprice, or do you want to do the price drop now? Because this is our first weekend, and you know you want to sell, and you know, and they, guess what? They said, drop it. Boom. We dropped $35,000. Boy, did my phone ring on Saturday? What's going on, Eric? Man, you just dropped $35,000. What's up with the property? I said, nothing's up with the property other than my seller now realized we overpriced and we're priced appropriately. Why don't you bring your buyers in? And we sold. And it actually escalated and it got close to almost what he wanted. But had I not had those conversations before I listed, would he have done that? No. Would he have sold and got as good a deal as he did? No. You have to be comfortable saying things you don't want to talk about. Don't be the agent that you're so like, okay, I'm so happy I have a listing and I'm going to overprice you $100,000. Because you know what? It will backfire. You will be yelled at, they will hate you, and they'll drop the listing. And then you did all your work and you got nothing. And then the next agent's going to come in and call them. Oh, I see you're unlisted. You know, that's real short time on market. I'm sure you still want to sell because I do have a lot of buyers interested, but at your price point, let's talk. And guess what?
They're gonna sell it.
They're going to sell it, and guess what price they're going to go on the market? Probably the price you wanted to get them to all along. And that happened to me a couple times when I first started in the business.
And how did you deal with that?
How do I deal with it?
Now, how did you deal with that? Now you're like, now it will not happen.
Back
How did you-
then,
back
I was
then?
doing what I'm telling you not to do. I took the listing even though I was overpriced because I just wanted a listing. And I thought, oh, it'll sell. Well, yeah, it will sell, but it's not going to sell at that point. And they got mad because they sat too long. And then the next agent swooped in, put it on the price I thought it should be, sold it like that. And I was out of commission, and I just worked 3 months for nothing.
Plus all the money that goes into it.
Yeah, you lose. When you go into a buyer's market, some agents will cover, like, and I'm one of them. I'll go ahead and pay for, you know, photography 3D because I'll just absorb those costs if it doesn't sell. But staging, you know, I will tell you, I pay for it. When it's a hot market and I know it's going to sell quickly, I just pay for it up front. When it shifts to a buyer's market, my sellers are going to start paying for it up front, and I will reimburse them when it sells. And the reason is because, again, I got burned a couple times with properties that didn't sell, and I was out $2,500 for staging because my clients were like, no, we're not going to reimburse you. So
you sign that in a contract somewhere, or no? You just have them pay for it.
I just have in a buyer's market, I just say, here's the staging, here's the cost. Once you sign this paper with the stager and you pay it, we're moving forward. And in an email, I just say, hey, I'm going to reimburse this once we sell. That way, then if we don't sell, and they say, well, what about staging? I go, that's only if we sold and we didn't sell and you pulled it. So, sorry.
Since you have a team, do you have some listing agents on your team?
I'm the listing agent.
So you don't have anybody else going?
If they no, they're actually, a couple of them right now are going on listing appointments.
So do they make those decisions? You guys are all aware of the same?
My team
staging?
doesn't squat without my knowledge.
Okay. So they come back and say, okay, I will pay for the staging?
No,
later?
my agents, before they even go out, we will talk.
They'll review with him probably. And
Oh, okay.
No. I mean, we talk beforehand about what's going to happen on all that.
Okay.
Okay? So, you got to, right now, are you going to have them pay it up front or not? It's a 50-50 because,
Right now, yeah.
we don't know. But if they're going to be realistic on price, I'm probably not going to worry about it because it'll sell. My last 2 listings, you guys, sold in 2 weeks. What did I tell them going in before I listed? I said, it looks like everything here is going to be about 2 to 3 weeks to sell you. Don't panic. We're going to price at this point because this is the point where we're seeing him sell, and it looks like everyone's selling around that time frame, and sure enough, we did. They did not freak out on the first weekend. They did not freak out that they didn't, review date came and went, no one came in. They understood what was going on.
So since you're talking, I have a next question. Since you're
Okay.
talking about the
What's
market,
your question?
Since you're talking about the market, this is more as knowledge from you. Where do you see the market going?
I don't know. If I could tell you where the market was going, I wouldn't be sitting here now. I would be on a beach somewhere drinking a margarita and rolling in dough.
No, just your perception from what you're seeing in the market.
My
Nobody knows.
perception is just an opinion.
Yeah, just an opinion. And because you are experienced, you have good opinions. So we'd like to hear.
We're in a summer lull.
You think it's going to pick back up?
Well, let's look at something here. Let's check out trend graphics right now. Let's see what it says
King
for
County or
King
what?
County. For King County.
I have the report.
But you're going to be looking at last year's, right?
No. I want to know. Last year's means very little to me, other than that's what it was last year at this time, which, it's just kind of like, yeah, you can see it was this way last year, and you can see in September it went up a little, but let's see what King County says. You got to realize, My opinion is just one opinion.
Absolutely.
Usually it's
Not really
right,
count.
but doesn't mean it's always
I know
right.
it's only an opinion, but I know it's right a lot of times. It would be great to hear.
Okay. Continue. Okay. So I'm in here.
Where do you go?
So I'm just doing King County, single family homes, and I'm not doing anything else. And I just want to show the chart. Let's see what I got.
So we have for sale. Just peeking the shit out.
So I'm not seeing July yet. Why isn't it out? Usually it'd be out by now. Are you getting the same thing? You don't have July, you're just seeing June?
Yeah, June.
Okay, here's the problem, you guys. What I can say is June, we spiked really high, highest inventory we had, and I think it goes back 2 years from what I heard. So basically all I could tell anyone right now is that we need to see the July numbers, because if the July numbers are really high, then I'd start saying, wow, these are indicators that could actually be heading maybe finally to the buyer's market. I do know the buyer's market is existing in many other places, but here's the other thing. Even though it's a spike, we have 1.4 months of inventory in June, even though that's the highest month that we've had in inventory for a couple of years. Oh, you went further back?
This is just
You
the
can do-
listings. This is the 3-year trend on InfoSparks.
Yeah. So
It's just a
even
it's a rolling. I mean, this 2016 we peaked again when prices got high, but this was in December. But then
right.
completely went down, and now we're just in another upward
Right.
swing again.
So even though it's the highest inventory we had, and yes, people have slowed down, yes. Does that mean you're in a full-on buyer's market? No, not yet, because you still have 1.4 months of inventory. And if you're under 4 months of inventory, the sellers are holding the cards still.
Right.
When you get in 4 to 6 months, you're kind of in an even playing field, and when you get over 6 months, you're full-on, it's buyer's market. 1.4 months, or 1.4 months does not tell me a buyer's market. But now if July numbers come in and it's showing, oh, it's going up again, these could be indicators it's headed that way. What I would be telling any seller is we need to be very aggressive with our pricing right now because there's more competition out there. Even though it's 1.4 months, there's competition. Out there that you have to compete against. So you've got to be the best price shiny diamond if you want to sell quickly. Well, you get multiple offers. I'd be telling right now, I can't ever guarantee a multiple offer. What I do know is that most homes right now are not getting 10 multiple offers. They might get 2, they might get 3, and that the buyers right now are not usually being as aggressive in their escalations. They're being more conservative. And do not be surprised if buyers will wait it out and wait till after the review date before they even write an offer, because they're doing that now, and then you might get 2 offers a day or 2 after. That happens. So we just need to price appropriately for where we're at. If I had a buyer right now, I'd be saying, get off your ass and get in my car. What is it you're going out on a boat this weekend?
Yeah.
You want to get in a house, you told me. You about beat up the last few months in multiple offers. Well, guess what? Right now, you have an opportunity to beat up a seller. Doesn't that sound like a lot more fun? Let's go. But come September, we don't know. I mean, it's just hard to say, because if you look back last August, we had, when we got into September, we had 1.2 months. So we had 0.2 months more inventory now in June. So yeah, we have more inventory than we did in June last year. But it also, you can see September, December, inventory started dropping because the little spring surge sold, other things sold, but then other agents started pulling listings to relist in spring, and then we had another surge.
And school goes back into session.
Yeah, I mean, we're our own worst enemies of creating our market, I'll tell you right now, because we all have the same story. Oh, don't list your properties in August because everybody's on vacation. Let's list you after Labor Day. Then all the buyers are back and they're looking to buy. Well, true.
So
Maybe, but you might have more competition in September too with all the other agents holding back their listings. Generally, I wouldn't want to list a property, you know, right before Labor Day. I'd probably wait till right after Labor Day.
Wait, say that again. I'm sorry.
I would not list a property the week before Labor Day.
The week, but it's okay. Like 3 weeks before.
3 weeks before I went. I mean, I have sold things every month of the year, folks. It's just you have to play the month correctly. I have sold on Thanksgiving Eve. I have sold on Christmas Eve. Because you play the market. What?
We sold the house.
I sold my own place in Christmas. It's the best time. It's not so many looky-loos and.
Well, but as a
Serious?
seller, it may be the best time, but it also could be the worst time because you don't have a lot of buyers at Christmas time. So maybe if you had waited and put it on, March 1st, you might have had multiple offers and sold for more.
Don't tell me. I don't want to regret it.
Well, you're an agent. You need to hear those hard news. So yeah, we don't know if there's this true on market shift. All we know is right now we're in the summer lull and it started earlier. We know there's buyer fatigue after the last few years and some buyers are sitting out because they're foolishly thinking, well, it's going to crash and we're going to get these homes for 25% or less next year. Well,
Interesting though.
I don't think that's happening. And the other thing that's happening is the interest rate's creeping up. So you need to be able to talk to your clients in the now, not in their fear of the future. You need to bring them back. Your buyer says, what are you going to say? I mean, what do you tell your buyer? Oh, I'm going to wait it out because I know everything's going to crash. We're in a bubble just like it was in 09.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Yeah, I look here and go, well, I always say, you can base your thing on fear or let's look at the logic. Let's look at the information. Because 09, everyone was given a loan that should never have been given a loan. Are we doing that now? No. It's a lot harder process to get a loan. So the actually buyers are out there buying can buy. So we don't have all these homeowners that have just bought all these homes they shouldn't and they're pulling all the equity out.
The
Next.
crash in the market was actually a market crash, not just a stock market crash. Or
Right,
something
it was a bank
completely
problem.
opposite,
The banks screwed us over. The banks are under more regulation right now. They're trying to deregulate it, but right now it's still under regulation. The other thing you got to consider, though, is Seattle. Where was Seattle in 08 and 09? It was Seattle. Is it like anything like what we see in Seattle today? Absolutely not. We are now a global, full-force economy. We are probably, after Silicon Valley, the #1 tech city for business.
Yep.
Every freaking company in tech that's anybody is in South Lake Union now. That's a lot of global money pumping in here. You also have a lot of, let me finish.
Sorry.
You have a lot of foreign investors coming into the Seattle market buying. We are much more insulated from a crash than we would have before. San Francisco City, did it crash and burn? No. Did they adjust in price a little? Yeah. Did they recover okay in the city? Yeah. We're in the city here, folks. We also have people moving here. We didn't have people moving here in droves like in the 90s. People are moving here because we have very low unemployment. We have lots of jobs. So all these indicators tell me we're not going to have a huge bubble crash other than we have a housing shortage and prices are going to continue to appreciate. They may not appreciate as fast as they have in the past. There might be a price adjustment in the market to slow us down a little. But you also need to be thinking about, look at what prices are in San Francisco. Look at prices in Vancouver, BC. That's why international investors are buying here. We are a bargain. International investment has not stopped. Why would you think international investment?
I don't know, I just heard somebody say.
Just heard.
Huh?
Trying to put a law in.
Yeah.
What's happened is Chinese are still investing. It's just the way they get their money out of their country now is more difficult. Does that mean they're not going to invest? No. It just means they got to figure out new ways to get their money out at a slower process or whatever. But Chinese are not the only ones who buy here. We have people from India buying here like crazy. Do you know Mexico buys a lot here? Did you know England buys a lot here? Did you know Canadians buy here?
Russian investor.
Russians mob is investing here.
He's like, I gotta get my money out of Moscow. That's what he said. He said, I gotta get my money out of Russia.
Investing here.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah.
You
all
gotta-
the
He said
tax
that. That's what he
here.
said. He
Well,
said,
no.
I gotta get it out of Russia. I gotta get it
It's
over
true
here.
though.
To your point, though,
But no, let me one last thing. To my point, what I want you all to realize is that the rest of the world still looks at the U.S. as a safe haven to put their money because they don't see our government volatile, and that suddenly a government could sweep in and say we're taking everyone's property and giving it out to all these people, where a lot of these countries are coming from with all this money are.
Yeah.
So that's why they invest here. Just because China may not be doing as much, you're being very naive to still think, well, the global market's over. So what I suggest is read. Start reading the headlines from Puget Sound Business Journal. Don't even buy the Puget Sound Business Journal. Just read the headlines. That'll tell you what's kind of going on around this market that might affect you. Last year, or not last year, but a few months ago when Seattle had the head tax, what happened? It was going to a vote. What happened in the condo market in Seattle? Crashed. All the agents were like, oh my God, my condos aren't selling, my condos aren't selling. I said, well, it's not selling because the people who are buying condos are in the tech industry and they're all kind of wait and see because they know that all these companies downtown, South Lake Union, are all like, hold the horses. Amazon, the day before the vote, said this huge building that's going up downtown pulled out and said, we're not going to put any more into this city if we have to do a head tax. Then once it got repealed, guess what? Boom, overnight, all those condos sold because they were all back. Now, if you had been an agent, thinking, reading, noticing what's going on in your local economy, you would have been prepared. So if you're getting a listing going, I might have said, let's wait 2 weeks. Let's see what happens because I think this will get repealed. I don't think, I mean, I live in Seattle. I think our city council's a bunch of idiots. I'm not endorsing anyone, literally. But I think that was the most stupid ass thing they ever said. You know, how are you going to have business growth if you tell them that they have to pay $500, or they settled on the vote, $275 per employee? No business is going to do it. You know what? They're going to come over to Bellevue and build. So all these people are going to buy condos or wait and say, well, we might have to buy in Bellevue. We don't want to commute. Most of those techies don't want commutes. So, you know, that's why I'm saying, know what's going on in your cities, know what's going on in Puget Sound Journal, and then look at the globe. Yes, knowing what's going on in China is important. And yes, you don't have as many Chinese investors coming right now, and they are fueling things, but that does not mean you're not going to get investors from other part of the world.
it's commercial is taking a bigger hit on that anyway.
Yeah, I'm not in commercial.
The tech industry, as far as like jobs that you were talking about, with all these different engineering hubs and everything, all the talent's here too. And I worked in like the talent industry
that's
for a
why.
while. So you understand that because the talent's here at Amazon and Microsoft, and those are different languages, by the way. So
different cultures.
These languages don't always talk, so they have all these people coming in from all these different regions that talk totally different languages, tech languages, and those people need jobs, and so that's why all these other engineering, and it builds such a strong, like, bulletproof economy that this will be forever one of the top areas where there's talent.
The bottom line, the reason it happened was because they started realizing in Silicon Valley and other places that people were here and they didn't want to leave because the lifestyle was cheaper and in the quality of life. So then they started building satellite offices here because they're like, well, if we set up our engineer hub here, we can just start robbing back and forth across the street. We don't have to move them, and we can still get the best talent. So that's how South Lake Union all happened, because Amazon took off, and Microsoft was here.
So I actually
and
have
Google is going to be across from Amazon by South Lake Union now.
They're all here.
No, well, they've all been here a while, but they're getting bigger and bigger headquarters. Yeah.
So in regards to appreciation-wise, we know that most techies cap off at some salary, 185 or whatever it is.
No, they don't. Starting is about 100,000, but you know that starting 100,000 person probably got a big signing bonus, and they're getting stock options.
That's
and they are cashing in stock options
to buy houses.
To buy houses.
So here's my question: we've reached this. Houses have doubled in price over whatever the period of time has gone by, and a lot of people are actually maxing out their borrowing power to buy a house.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean to the future appreciation if they're coming in and already doing like a 40 or 45, or I've seen as high as 50 debt to income ratio? Like, it's not like people's salaries are going to continue to increase as house prices are.
Things adjust.
So when people are like buying houses in like Linwood and thinking that they're going to appreciate 150,000 in the next 3 years,
It
that's
could.
not going to
They
happen.
probably will.
It probably will. That's not a lot for
We're
out
also
there.
looking at topography that's completely like, where else are you going to expand?
Yeah.
I
There's
mean,
nowhere to really
you
grow.
got to realize we are landlocked by mountains and water.
Yeah.
So we go up.
That's
That's why
protected.
they're rezoning everything to make hubs that they can build condos and huge apartments. What I'd be doing right now, if you got a person saying, well, I want to buy out in Linwood or I want to buy here, learn where the interrail's going.
Yeah.
Buy
that's
near
really
that. You buy near stations, you'll never lose money because those will always be worth more than someone who's 10 miles away from a train station.
I just had a client that was looking, and we just went two blocks away from where that's going to be built in 5 years, and I was like, "You're going to be great." And I was like, "When you can walk, and once that happens, don't even worry about this. This will be
Yeah.
good."
But our city's going to get denser and bigger and denser.
The air
So
qualities.
owning any kind
I
of,
don't think so. Yeah.
well, as long as the rain cleans it
Yeah.
and makes acid rain.
I was at the top of a space needle yesterday. I couldn't even see the damn Olympics. It was
Well,
so
you know
amazing.
why?
They're open right now?
Fires.
Well, it could be fires, but someone, and again, this could be hearsay, like your hearsay a minute ago about what you thought. But I've cleared that up for you now. Good. Okay. So, but the hearsay that
I forgot
over
what
the
it
weekend is someone said it was on the news somewhere that all this pollution, a lot of it, was coming in from Siberia. The winds were blowing it over the ocean.
From Siberia.
What's in Siberia?
Coal,
Nothing.
pollution.
Oh.
Think about it.
I mean,
I mean,
It doesn't.
we got radiation from Japan in the water,
Yeah, that's true.
so
I mean, everything's globally connected, clearly, but
we're all connected.
yeah, it's.
But
Well,
I would say some of this could be smoke from fires too.
California.
It just depends where the winds are.
Are they going right now?
yeah.
Yeah, use that.
And Greece.
Oh, Greece is burning. Siberia
The
is
world's
burning.
burning. The whole world.
Oh, I even was reading that up in the Arctic Circle's on fire.
Yeah, I
What?
read that too.
Yeah.
Can I ask another stupid question before I forget?
Okay, you can ask me a stupid
Climate
question.
change isn't
Okay.
real.
I wrote an offer
That's really stupid. You wrote an offer. Was that the
for
question?
a buyer. Okay.
Okay.
The listing
Yes.
agent is brand new.
Uh huh.
Didn't know how to reply by just crossing off my price and counting offer, so he wrote the whole offer.
A whole new
Literally,
offer?
The whole back. And I'm like, why'd you do that? He was like, I had issues with computers, so I'm like, okay, I'll just leave it at that. Is that even legal? Because then
Yeah.
his price is, his date is before the buyer's date. Does that matter? Who? Or just,
Basically, what he did is sent you back an
So-
offer that your buyer never signed.
so as long it's not mutual, it's okay.
You're not
So-
mutual unless you have one
So it doesn't matter
contract
that he.
that everybody signs. You send
That's all,
over
okay.
a contract with signatures. They didn't send that back with any signatures. What they did is they sent you back a contract with their signatures. So now you've
Yeah,
got
okay.
in hand the
Now that you said it
contract,
louder, it sounds
and
stupid.
now
Okay.
you
Yeah,
just
okay.
need to sign that one.
Oh my
I mean,
goodness, I've never had
obviously
that
this
happen.
agent didn't need to do that. He could have used a Form 36 and as a counteroffer in him as price
Oh,
or crossed out like you did.
So I had asked you that question. I had texted you about advertising and not getting permission. But if you get permission, can you do anything like that? If you can get it in writing about like videoing or anything like that, as long as they give you permission.
If you have written permission.
You just get an email say, "Hey, I wanted to do this. Is that okay?" And they reply yes, then you're good to go.
Would you repeat the question?
I wanted to know if you could, because you can't. I was wondering. I had two questions. One was if you were someone else's listing. If you're not, I know that if you're not the seller or the buyer, that you can't use their photos. But I was wondering if you could say you were going to go do a tour and take your own picture from the outside, and it was kind of like, yes, you could do that, but if you go on the inside, you have to get written permission because you can't just do the inside of someone else's listing without permission.
Right. Yeah.
So I wondered, okay, I'm touring a house, but you have to get permission if it's not your listing.
Meaning you can't go around and be in some listing and go Facebook Live and say, hey, I'm touring this new listing, look at it, blah, 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 blah.
You cannot?
No.
That's
No.
illegal.
What?
Yeah.
You have to have a
Really?
seller's
I didn't
permission
know that.
to do that because it's their private home.
Yeah.
You're not their listing agent hired to advertise. You have no agreement with
It's
them.
also, I found out it's also illegal, like if you have a client and you take a video and send it to your client, that's
Yeah.
also illegal. You
Right.
can go Facebook Live with a client. You can go live with a client, not but like FaceTime, but
Yeah.
you can't take a video because that video you don't have permission to take a video.
So if the
Right.
husband
We
does
can't
that
do
to a
that at
wife,
open
they cannot do
houses?
that?
So if they're live, yes, because they can't record
shouldn't.
it.
Ew. Oops.
But I have that sometimes. Like,
But what you do is you just send an email and
and
say, hey, while I'm
text
at my
it to
open house, I like to do
husband to a wife,
Facebook
you
Live
know
to
what I
try
mean?
to
So
draw in
you're
more
not,
clients.
You're not supposed to
Is
do
that okay with you? Get it in an email with the listing agent. They reply back, yeah, that's fine.
And the reason is if you do it and say you just don't know and you didn't know and you filmed some expensive piece of something and now you put it on the internet and so their house gets broken into because there was some Fabergé egg on the counter that you didn't know about and you put it out on the internet and their house gets broken into, you just gave their personal information away that you didn't have the right to do that.
Interesting.
Now, are agents sending videos to their clients without asking?
Yep.
Yep.
All the
they are.
time.
Oh, yeah. Taking pictures. I always get.
I mean, I think if you even called a listing agent and said, look, my client's out of town, I'm coming in, it looks really great, are you okay if I shoot a video to send off to him? They probably would say, absolutely.
Yep. Just have to ask, get
Yeah.
permission.
But
I
get it in
always-
writing. Get it in
We're
writing.
on tours, and my clients walking around
Yeah.
taking, and I'm just, that like freaks me out. I have to stop them, especially if it's an owner-occupied house.
Right, but then what if your client says, hey, I'm doing this because I want to show my wife later?
Yeah.
You just
Because
gotta
she-
say,
Well-
let me get permission, let me call the listing agent.
That's
real quick.
exactly what we have to do.
You just say, let me call and get permission.
Yeah, and
no
people will
idea.
do that a lot.
And you wouldn't
It's-
think about it, but there's always the worst case scenario, and then
Mhm.
it gets tied back to somebody, and you're like, oh
Yeah.
crap, it was me
Yeah.
who put that
Just
video
get
up.
used to it, guys. Our industry is going to be more and more regulated with time. You're going to have more rules all the time. Assume you always are being videoed whenever you're in a house.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And assume you're always recorded.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Don't talk about your
Don't talk about your
strategy
freaking
about
offer in the
yeah,
house.
don't-
Well, no. I mean, any buyer, I always
Yeah.
say to them up front, we never talk about the house other than, oh, those are nice cabinets. Yeah, they're
No.
nice. Oh, I kind of like that. Oh, yeah, it's okay. Don't go in the house and go, I love this house. I'll do anything I have to do to get it. I don't want to lose this time. Because if you have that on recording and seller shows that to their list agent, it's illegal. Do you think anyone's going to tell you they've got it? No, they're going to say, great, their offer just came in. Don't give them a damn thing.
Mhm.
So yeah, you need to coach your clients. We have time for another question.
Hosting a lot of other people's open houses this weekend.
Yeah.
I have my sign-in sheets and I have prospects coming in and everyone is telling me, yep, I have an agent, which is the purpose of me being there is because I'm trying
Right.
to build my business.
Thanks, Eric.
How?
Oh, you don't want to hear my last amazing answer? Fine, get lost.
He's like, I don't care about this.
It's okay, you can go, because I have an amazing answer coming you're going to wish.
It's too late. You've gone. Get out.
Oh.
Get out.
And he got you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and I actually do. Go ahead.
So what do I do? How can I get
Um,
around that?
Okay, when you're doing open houses and you're trying to get information, okay, first thing I would do if someone told me, yeah, I have an agent, I go, really, are you committed?
Okay.
This is what's the following? What's the line? What's the line that we can and can't cross?
Yeah, what's the line in the sand? Like,
A buyer is not a listing.
Yeah.
A listing you don't solicit. You can solicit any buyer. It doesn't matter if they have another buyer. It doesn't matter if they have buyer agency with another agent. That buyer agency agreement is with that other agent.
So what happens, because I've seen, just to go off you, I've
Yeah.
seen it happen where you get a phone call from that agent and they're like, what the fuck are you doing talking to my client like this and telling me that they should be getting a new agent or that I'm not doing a good job or that I should be showing them the house myself? Like, what's the line of what you can say and you can't say?
If an agent called me and told me that, I'd say, well, hey, you know it's an open market out there, and I'm sure you would have done the same to my client if you had the same opportunity. If you don't want us talking to your client, then maybe you need to go to the open house. Boom. I mean, come on. Grow up, people. Your buyer agency agreement is a commitment to work with you. It is not binding. Your client can send you an email and say, I don't want to work with you anymore, and you're out. That agency agreement says that if you wrote in there that they guarantee you a 3% commission, it also says in the fine print that's all they ever have to pay is 3%. So you don't come cry to me and say, well, they left me and they went and bought a house. So I showed it to them and I want that 3%. Well, guess what? I'll look it up on the MLS. It says 3% and it just went to the agent who took your client. And that buyer agency says they only pay 3%. I'm sorry, that 3% went to the other agent. You have nothing to stand on. And let alone, would you ever sue a buyer who left you for a commission? Because if you sued me, I would take it on so big with all my friends to be Yelping, Zillowing, everywhere I possibly could, saying exactly what I thought, which is don't work with this agent. He sues their buyers. So, yes, so to bring it back to your question,
The agreement.
it's a commitment. It's a mental thing. It's a mental thing with your client that they are committing to you, that they feel like they've signed it, okay? And there are people who will not leave their agent because of that, even as hard as I've tried. But back to your question. So if they have an agent, I say, are you committed?
Okay.
You'd be surprised what you hear. They might say, oh, well, yeah, I have a buyer agency. And I go, oh, that's great. I respect buyer agency, but again, they're not here today. I'm here, and this place is going to sell. So if you really want to do it, you might want to consider working really quick and let's sit down and write an offer. Nothing wrong with saying that. Nothing wrong doing whatever you want to get them. Guess what? One of my agents got a $2 million buyer this weekend, and you know why? She was nice. Guess what? She talked, she answered questions. They brought up, they have another agent. Her response was, oh, okay, well, I don't want to, step on that, but are you committed to him? And guess what? They said, no, actually, we never hear from her. We don't really like her, and we like you a lot. So now, guess what?
I'll tell you my favorite line. Anytime I do an open house and someone says I have an agent, I just always say, where are they? And they go, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't let my clients tour without me.
Exactly.
And they go, and it's a dumb, and it's there's not a good answer to that.
Yeah.
It really makes the buyers think. And actually, that's even better than committed, I think, because it's a little softer. I'm a little more aggressive.
Say, where are they?
Just where are your agent? And then that brings up in their mind, like, well, yeah, where
If
are
you're
they?
doing this on our own, what am I going to pay them for?
Right.
And if they say they're committed and they don't remember the name of the agent sometimes, I'm like,
Well, you
okay.
Just push so much, and then and there's just some people you just give up on. It's not worth
Yeah, I
it. You're not
mean,
gonna get everything.
it's a numbers game. You might come out of some with a lot of great leads, and some you sit there all day and get nothing. It's a numbers game.
Totally.
But you know what? Let's say you just spent 6 hours this weekend doing open houses. Well, let's say you do 6 hours, 4 days. You've just worked 24 hours, but you get one client out of all those things, an actual client, and they just spent $400,000 and you made $12,000 commission. Now, isn't that worth your time to sit there even if it's dead?
Absolutely.
Not to mention you get to advertise yourself while you do it. You can advertise yourself
Right.
online. Your friends start seeing that you're doing open houses. You'll start getting referrals through the internet, through Facebook. If you can Facebook Live secretly.
Yeah. And the other thing, and you can hotspot your computer, so if it's really dead, you could be doing things you need to be getting your database up to, doing
or
lead
do
gen.
something that you just want to do. Sometimes I'll just write or, do something else that
But-
is totally not even...
But the one thing I want you to remember when someone comes in, don't sit and, wait a minute, I got to finish this. Put that down immediately, and you engage.
For sure.
I walk up, introduce myself. Hi, I'm Dane. Welcome to the house. Please look around. Fill in my sheet.
So then the very last question for you, put you on the spot. What happens when they say they do have an agent? I want to know what your exact line on this is. And they do have an agent, and they do give you a name, and they're an agent in this office.
What we like everyone to do, and I've talked to people, and that is respect the agents in our office.
Yeah.
Because they're working hard too.
That agent sucks.
And
Kidding.
and if it's an agent in this office and then they start telling me, well, you know, they're not being really helpful and all this, I would just say to them something like, you know, they're in my office and I would love to work with you, but I really think you should give them an opportunity first. That's what I would like to. Now, do you all do that? No. Does it come across my desk as a big problem sometimes? Yes, it does. I don't want a big problem. So I hope you all do the right thing and just say, and actually pick up a phone and call the agent and say, look, I just want to let you know, Joe Smith came through my open house. He was thinking about coming with me. I don't want bad blood in my office. I want to give you the opportunity to connect with Joe Smith. Because I'll tell you, buyer agency or no buyer agency, the reason you lose a client is they feel like you're doing nothing. And that's exactly why this person told my agent yesterday, that client she got, she said, we don't think she even likes us. We hardly hear from her. She hasn't shown. We don't talk. I mean, don't be a stupid agent who's like on the internet every morning going, oh, there's no houses. Next, oh, there's no houses. Oh, okay, I'm going to go out and lay in the sun now. And like you've gone 10 days and you've had zero communication with your client. Right. Those whole 10 days, they're talking about looking for a house. When you start looking about a house, you talk with everybody. Guess what? You start meeting people that are looking for houses, one, who may not have an agent, who they could be giving you a referral because they'll say, oh, my agent's great because they're just getting ready. Or two, they're going to hear, really? You're not hearing from your agent? My agent communicates with me all the time. Maybe you might want to talk to him.
One more question.
Yeah.
So on the flip side of that, when I was showing someone's house, the owners were present and said to me, they made some side comments of maybe this agent isn't right.
About you?
About their listing agent.
Oh, to you?
Yeah. And
stay away from that.
I know. And I said, you know, you should really have a conversation with your agent about that because that's...
You were with a buyer, though, right?
No, this was just the homeowner just like talking to me.
You were just previewing for yourself?
I was hosting, just waiting for people to show up.
So
but they wouldn't leave during the open house? Oh my God.
So awkward.
First of all, I would have called the listing agent and said, you know, your sellers are sitting here. It's kind of awkward. Oh, by the way, they're saying how they might want me to be their listing agent.
Well, they weren't even saying that they wanted me to be the listing agent, more that they wanted someone more locally versus people coming from Seattle all the way out to...
Right, and that's where I would have called the agent and said, hey, by the way, I appreciate you coming to this open house, but you need to hear this.
Okay.
So you can resolve this.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because that way that agent's going to appreciate you more.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, how do I tactfully deal with this?
Yeah. That's a tough one.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you.
All right, you guys.
Ones that you'll encounter.
I'm getting there.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Eric.
Are you going to have this online?
Thank you, Master
If
Eric.
someday you can.
Oh, God.
I know.
What?
No, basically
Recording these?
Recording these or
I'm
having
not.
it, not recording or somebody if they're not able to come here. Remember in the past when Ravi was there?
Yeah, Robbie keeps saying he's going to teach me, but he hasn't.
I knew.
And honestly, I hate
It
recording
wasn't
them.
really. I didn't
But
get to a point where I was super.
like today,
You're on a better thing.
I was trying to tell people they could text me if they were watching,
Oh, yeah.
if they had questions, but no one did.
Okay. Because sometimes, it's like you have time to go through, but you may not have time to be here. So it's
Yeah.
just like, because here's one thing I've seen
I
is
have
like,
one listing
and this is
now
what
where
I have
my
to say.
client says you just learned
Like,
pull
now
it.
that I've learned in a
Got
couple of
another
years of
listing
being an
coming up in
agent,
September.
Yeah.
We
but
got
sometimes
a
you
couple
learn more,
buyers
and sometimes
working.
I'm
Doing
like,
all
another
right.
questions that you know, but there's
So
still
slow.
something like,
Yeah.
this is how I
Yeah,
look, even if you
I
can learn like 15 minutes in the whole time, it's
Uh-huh.
worth it at the
I
end of
know.
the day.
Not very
Yeah, no, I get
Sometimes
it.
you can be here, so that's why I was asking.
I know.
So one question for you, Eric, and you've been there for multiple years, as you just said,
Yeah.
right? You did all the work,
I'm
and
not gonna
sometimes
do
you,
that, but I'm.
you ended
No,
up
not
losing
saying you're
that
gonna do
particular
that.
listing.
But
No, I
Did
know.
it
It's just
impact
crazy.
you from getting more clients in the past,
daunting.
or did it
No,
impact?
you just learn and go.
Or if it was a neighborhood you really cared,
And then
other
life on
people
top
would
of it,
know
right?
that you lost that. You know,
Right.
sometimes weird things happen.
Get over it, move on.
Absolutely.
Just get over it.
Cool.
Learn from your mistakes,
man.
move on, and
Rock on.
don't think twice.
No, did it impact? I'm asking a different question. Like, suppose if it was a neighborhood where you wanted to develop yourself, and then you lost a listing there, suppose.
I've had neighbors who've listed with people, not me.
No, not that. Supposing the way you're saying that they listed with you at one point of time, and then you did not reduce the price quickly enough for the market.
And they're
just
your neighbor.
change, and not your neighbor. Let's assume there's a neighborhood like South Lakes Union where you want to develop your listing.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Get over it.
Okay.
You can't, if you're going to be crushed because you lost a listing, now you're worried that everybody in that area will not list with you because you lost a listing, you're wasting a lot of energy. A lot. Agents lose listings and they still can be very successful.
Yeah.
And your whole career is not in one neighborhood.
Right.
So get over it and move on.
Okay.
Learn from your mistakes. Don't think about it.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
I've lost listings.
So you've
I
lost.
never let it stop me.
Yeah. When you say you've lost listings, like you listed something, like how you're giving an example, and then something.
I
like that.
talked about it earlier. I had overpriced listings
Yeah,
that
yeah.
I've lost. What did I do? I learned.
No, you definitely learn.
So
But-
I don't get in that situation again.
Yeah, but did it impact you in the short term in that neighborhood? That's my question.
No,
Just
not
as
at
a-
all.
That's my question.
Not at all.
Because other people might say, oh, he was the listing agent, but then he's not. And somebody
No,
else
you
is.
got to remember, Parul, people don't think about you. They don't. They see your sign up while you're listed, great. When that listing came down, they just assumed it sold. If they saw another agent's thing go up, they won't even remember Parul was up there 2 weeks ago because now they're seeing Eric's up there. They don't think that way. They're not going around, I'll remember she never sold that house. They never think that. So, and it'll never come up in any conversation. Okay? Don't worry about it.
Cool. No, this is just because you said you've experienced it, a lot, at times in the past. So.
Yeah. Okay?
Cool.
All right. I'm going to make a quick call now. Hi, this is Eric Robinson, Union Group Realty. You sent me a text last night saying that you'd like to talk to me about buying a house. Anyway, I'm just following up, trying to figure out a time that we could meet and discuss this. My number is 206-499-9103, or I sent you a text last night with my email address if you want to email me there as well. Let me know what works for you. And then we can sit down, I can answer all your questions, and we can get everything going for you so we can find a house. All right, I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you. There, I did lead Jen.
Cool. That was good. How has this year been for you so far?
Good. I mean, it's a little slower, but it's still good.
So actually, this year has been pretty good for me compared to what I did in any of my years. Like I have so far done like 13 transactions.
Okay. All right. Have you done your code of ethics?
Sorry?
Have you done your code of ethics?
No, I still
Have
haven't.
you done your code of ethics?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
For this year?
What's the code of ethics?
It's a requirement. You're continuing ed for code of ethics. It's separate of your required clock hours. It used to be on a 4-year cycle. The last cycle started January 1st, 2016. And I just got an update, and I'm just giving you as a heads up, this will be my broker minute this week. It's not a 4-year cycle, it's a 2-year cycle. So you're going to have to take your Code of Ethics class before December 31st
Well, didn't I
this
do
year.
that when I passed the exam in February?
So I did it last year.
That's different.
Really?
And everybody's on the same cycle. You can do it online. It doesn't take that long.
Okay.
It's real simple.
It's-
But you just got to get it done. This is a requirement of National Association of Realtors. It's not a DOL requirement. It's National Association of Realtor requirement. So basically it's reminding you about agency law, that kind of stuff. But I thought we were on a 4-year cycle, and I just got an email today. Oh no, they changed it all. It's on 2-year cycles now. So technically, it was up till 2020 we all had to do it again, but now we all have to do it by the end of this year. So.
All right. Good
So
to know.
you received an email, so we should receive an email if I'm due for my code of ethics, right?
Everybody did, but now I'll talk about it because I know everybody skipped it and didn't read it.
But if I did it last year, would I still receive an email? Because I think I did my code of ethics
You'll
last
have to go to SCAR website, look up your name, and it'll tell you if you're okay or not.
year. What's
but
the
if-
website?
SCAR, Seattle King County Association of
oh.
Realtors. But yeah, you need to look at them because they'll let you know if you've done it or not.
But
And
if I'm not done it, they're going to ping me.
No, they're not.
Oh,
No, they don't track you that way. We'll get letters saying you didn't do it, and then we have to find you and yell at you. I don't want to yell at you, so just do it. How's that sound?
sounds good.
But yeah, so it's 2 years, so you have till December 31st this year to complete.
Okay.
Got it.
Put this all in writing so that I can try to salvage my first fucking listing. Isn't that crazy? My first listing they're gonna pull after like 3 weeks on the market. Ah!
Don't give up yet.
I'm not giving up. The other listing I have going live in September here.
Mm-hmm.
Guy, I was hoping the guy to sell his dishwasher and stuff. Trevor Gage went and bought it, and then it didn't fit like the spot, so he brought it back. And the guy just like is trying to like cheap him out of like the $100 he didn't have because he spent it already. I'm like, come on, man, just give him his $100 back. Now am I on the line for that? Don't. People.
Hmm.
So is most of your obviously you go and you do lead generation, but is a lot of your business referral based, Eric?
Yeah, but some of it they just find me on the internet too.
Also, you do a lot of
Mhm.
Zillow. You're on the Zillow.
I don't pay Zillow a dime.
Okay.
I quit paying for leads a long time ago.
What year was it, like, into your career where you started seeing more referral-based business than, like, lead gen business?
Well, I never liked lead gen. I'm honest. I would pay Zillow and all this. I can tell you, if you're going to Zillow and you're paying Zillow $1,000 a month because you get a zip code, you are getting the bottom dregs of the barrel. You're not getting good leads. You're going to get crap leads because they're giving the good leads to the people who pay a lot of money for it. They spend, $1,000, $5,000. I know one team that spends close to $35,000 a month with Zillow, but they get leads and they make sure their team works those leads really hardcore.
Right.
But when you don't have that kind of money to play,
Yeah.
you're wasting your money.
I got drug into like a freebie with Yelp, and they ended up being a scam.
Yeah, but what I do is I have a Yelp profile. That's free.
Yeah, I have that.
I have a Zillow profile. That's free. I have clients write me testimonials there. That's free.
Yeah, sure.
I work my database. I did what you're doing. I worked open houses. I put posts. I just let people know I'm a realtor. I'm a realtor. I'm a realtor. I'm a realtor. And it just happened. I mean, I would take clients for many that I could get them. I do not have all of the training you have. Because Windermere offered none. And so you guys are being things that I had to figure out on my own, but 3 years to get where you guys would be in 2 months. I'm just scrappy and persistent because my career before was freelance producing. So no meant nothing. I just knock on the door again and again. So I'm not intimidated by it. But as far as like knowing your phone will ring, 3 years. If you're still here doing this full time in your 3rd year, your phone will start. It could happen more sooner, but if you're in this 3 years and and you're living off of it, you're going to make it. Yeah, but that means you're best in your house. Yeah. Best in your house to make it happen. Because and what you're doing, I can tell you're doing it. Rather than whining and it's like, no one's going to make it happen but yourself.
When I get frustrated, it's like the self-doubt will start turning.
Right, and that is normal. I can still have self-doubt myself. You don't know how many times I look at my team and I just think, I'm fucking done with all of you. Just get out. I'm done. I mean, I had it just 2 weeks ago. Do I feel it today? No, because it's only boom, 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 boom. We have 4 contracts. But we didn't have any contracts for a little while, and I was getting bummed. I mean, that you just have to realize. What I realized by the 3rd year is, one, save your money, don't spend as fast as it comes so you can have a wall. And so definitely save money. And just realize, you're not going to get the phone ringing everything again. Right. But it won't ring again. Because, like 3rd year, I started to realize, you know what? I'm not as freaked out thinking, when is my next job? Because I had more comments like, I know I'm going to make it ring. And I would actually get the attitude that week and go out and go, you know what? I need some clients. And when I always seem to get clients within the next 2 weeks when I went out with that attitude.
Totally. Like, ultimately, someone will leave you, will roll there,
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, but you don't want to get trapped in that. It's like that. Rather than think about go out there and do something productive and exercise.
Between Adam and Larissa and Peter Kim. She's not. She's driving home from Idaho.